So we've all been talking to AI, right? You ask it questions, maybe get it to help with an email, but that's just talk. What if AI could stop just talking about the work and actually start doing it for you? That's the massive shift we're going to dig into today, moving from a simple chatbot to a true autonomous agent. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, let's get on the same page about what it even means to go beyond the chatbot. Because this isn't just a small step up, it's a whole new way of thinking about AI. Right now, our relationship with AI is mostly conversational. It's passive. We talk, it talks back. But imagine if that AI could grow a pair of hands, digitally speaking, of course. What happens when it doesn't just understand your goal, but it has the actual power to go out and act on it, completely on its own? And that's the absolute core difference right there. Think of it like this. A chatbot is a conversationalist. It's programmed to follow a specific path, a kind of script. But an AI agent? That's totally different. An agent is an actor. You don't give it a script, you give it a goal. And its entire job is to figure out the how, all the steps to get there, and then just do it. No hand-holding required. Now here's the kicker. This isn't some sci-fi future we're talking about. You are already surrounded by early versions of these agents. When you ask Alexa to set a timer, that's a simple agent doing a task. That Netflix recommendation? Yup, that's an agent working to figure out what you want to watch next. Your Roomba has one goal, clean your floor, and it figures out how to do it. Even things like Uber's surge pricing or your credit card's fraud alerts, those are agents making decisions in the real world right now. Okay, so if these things are already out there and getting more powerful, how do they actually tick? What's going on under the hood that lets them see, think, and act all by themselves? At its very heart, a modern AI agent is basically built to do three things. It perceives the world, it thinks about what it's seeing, and then it acts based on that thinking. That's it. Everything else just flows from that simple but incredibly powerful loop. It's this nonstop cycle. First, you've got perception. The agent uses its sensors, maybe a camera, maybe an API, to pull in information. Next up is reasoning. It chews on that info, looks at its goal, and decides on the best next move. And finally, action. It carries out that plan using whatever tools it's been given. This perceive, think, act loop is the engine that drives the whole thing. But for that loop to be truly smart, you need one more crucial piece. As Sam Chalais from Microsoft puts it, real autonomy isn't about just one action. It's about being able to carry context through a bunch of actions. And to do that, you need memory. And this is really what makes an agent feel less like a tool and more like a partner. It has memory. Sure, it has short-term memory to keep track of what it's doing right now. But the long-term memory, that's the real game changer. That's what lets it learn from past experiences, remember what you like, and actually get better over time. It's how a generic assistant becomes your personal assistant. Okay, so that's the theory. But where is this tech actually hitting the ground and making a difference? Let's take a look at agents at work. The short answer? Pretty much everywhere. I mean, just look at the sheer range here. We're talking about specialized agents popping up in fields as diverse as city planning, finance, and even scientific research. They're becoming these new superpowered assistants for just about every profession you can think of. And the results? They're not just theoretical, they're real. Take customer support. These agents aren't just there to chat, they are actively solving people's problems. Get this. Companies using these autonomous agents have seen support tickets drop by a whopping 65%. Think about that. That's not a small tweak. That's completely changing how a business operates. And you see this kind of transformation everywhere. In finance, you have agents making trades in the blink of an eye. In agriculture, they're fine-tuning irrigation systems based on real-time weather. And it's on your computer, too. Tools like Microsoft Copilot are acting as your personal agent, handling your schedule and drafting your emails. From the farm to your own desktop, agents are the new digital workforce. Now, this all sounds amazing, right? Incredibly powerful. But with that kind of power and autonomy, we have to start asking some really, really tough questions. Because with great capability, well, you know how it goes. We have to talk about the risks. And we're not just talking about small hiccups here. This is a pretty chilling statement from the Center for AI Safety. And it was signed by top executives at places like OpenAI and Google DeepMind. They're putting the risk from AI right up there with pandemics and nuclear war. When you start building things that can think and act for themselves, you have to consider the most extreme possibilities. Yeah, and this kind of risk, well, it sparks a massive debate. How in the world do you regulate something this powerful? And right now, there are two main camps. On one side, you have the regulate by compute folks. They're saying, let's look at the raw power it takes to build the AI, the horsepower of the computer. But then the other side says, hold on, let's regulate by action. They argue that it doesn't matter how big the engine is. What matters is what the AI is actually doing out there in the real world. So it's really a debate between regulating potential versus regulating actual behavior. And what makes this whole thing so tricky is that grading an agent isn't a simple pass or fail. It's this complex balancing act. An agent could be incredibly capable, but maybe it's not safe. Or it could be super efficient, but way too hard to use. You have to juggle all of these things at once. Capability, safety, cost, user experience, which makes figuring out the rules for them incredibly difficult. This complexity leads us straight into a huge ethical minefield. For an agent to be useful, it needs tons of our data. Hello, privacy problems. They learn from human data, which means they can pick up our biases and make them even worse. And if an autonomous agent messes up and causes real harm, who's to blame? Then you have the massive questions about jobs and the very real risk that we could lose our own skills by just relying on them too much. So, with all this incredible power on one hand and all this serious risk on the other, how do we actually move forward? Thinking about our future with agents means we have to change how we see them. The best way to think about this technology probably isn't pure automation, where we just get replaced. It's about collaboration. The real goal here is to build partners that combine the strengths of humans with the strengths of AI, so we can do things that neither of us could ever do alone. But building that partnership really comes down to this one central challenge. We have to figure out how to give agents more freedom to act, while making absolutely sure they stay aligned with our values and that we have meaningful control. It's a tightrope, and we have to walk it perfectly. This future isn't something that's just going to happen to us. We're all building it right now with every new system we create. So the question I want to leave you with is really a question for all of us. As these AI agents become our new partners in work and life, what are the rules of engagement that we need to write together?